What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about Fortnite's new Iron Man update. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below what you think of this update. We got the Iron Man items added to the game. Both the Iron Man boots and gloves were added in this update. The boots can be a good mobility item to travel around the map kind of quickly. But the thing about them is, like, it takes a decent amount of time to start using them. Like, there is an animation for it before you lift off. And then once you are in the sky, if anyone hits you, your item is basically canceled and you, like, crash land onto the ground. Kind of similar to the wings of Icarus. So I think a lot of people will really like it because you can get around the map, like, pretty quickly. I feel like whenever we have an item like this in the game, people rate it highly, but in practicality, if you're playing against somebody with decent aim, you're going to get shot out of the sky, and then you're going to be landing in a location that you probably weren't prepared to land in. So I feel like that kind of holds it back. Any mobility item in the game that, like, your opponent has a say in whether or not you can use it, I feel like is just, like, pretty limited. This will obviously kind of come down to the difficulty of your matches and the players you're going against, but I think a lot of people are going to be shot out of the sky using this item. I wouldn't want to use it as my only mobility item. If you're using something like this and the hover jets, it'll be a little bit better. I think you can't really shoot when using this either. You guys know with the hover jets, you can kind of jetpack around and still shoot at enemies. You can't really do that with this Iron Man one. So I don't rate this item too highly. I would much rather have the hover jets, the Shuri claws, or even shockwaves as my mobility item. But the gloves are an item that I think a lot of people are going to like, and a lot of people are also going to hate, depending on their perspective on it. It's basically like an AR of sorts. Like, you could shoot energy out of your hands with the Iron Man gloves. And they have a pseudo lock-on effect within 30 meters, I believe, where, like, if you're looking at the enemy, they'll have a circle on them. And then I believe if that circle is on them and your reticle is on the enemy, your shots are pretty much guaranteed to hit. Like, I've had times when using this where, like, it seemed like I was missing shots, or enemies seemed like they're missing shots on me. So I don't think it's like full on 100% lock, but you're pretty likely to hit shots with this thing. It's very easy to use for that reason. They only do about 30 damage, I believe, and they don't have the greatest fire rate. But with these being so much easier to aim than a regular weapon, especially when jetpacking around with the War Machine hover jets and just kind of making yourself a slippery target, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy using these, and a lot of people are going to hate playing against these. It just kind of depends on how you feel about it, but I definitely think these are a solid item. I didn't really enjoy using them that much. Like, I would still just rather use my AR, but a lot of people are probably going to use this in place of an AR. There also is the uni beam ability that hits for 90 damage if you hit your ADS button when you're using this, or aim down sight button. For me, it's L2. This has like a ramp up time where the character does an animation to make it happen, and it has a cooldown afterwards, I believe. But this can be good for, you know, hitting a nice solid shot. I believe it hits people through cars. It'll do a lot of damage to structures, and it may or may not even hit through walls. I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe in the past it did. So yeah, these gauntlets are a solid item, and I think a lot of people are, you know, like I said, they're either going to love it or hate it, depending on if they're using it or playing against it, probably. The Stark rifle, and both of these items you can find in regular loot, and you can find in the arsenals, which we'll get to in a moment. The Stark rifle was also added in this update, and the combat AR was vaulted. This is like the pulse rifle if you ever played when the pulse rifle was in the game, but if you didn't, it has a faster fire rate but lower damage when hip fired, and then when you aim in, it has a lower fire rate but higher damage. So you kind of get like two weapons in one, depending on whether or not you're aiming in. In the past, this was really good because it was like a combination of an AR and an SMG, and so you could pick or choose what you wanted. This cannot get attachments, and it is projectile, meaning it has bullet drop and travel time. A lot of people thought it would be hit scan, and then that would make it a solid item to have, or maybe be like a selling point for the weapon, but it is not hit scan. You still have to worry about those things. And personally, I didn't really like this weapon, despite liking the pulse rifle a lot in the past. The hipfire fire rate didn't seem as fast as I would want. Like, it still felt pretty slow to me. And then the aimed in damage was nice, but with how fights play out this season around, like, jetpacking around and just people being very chaotic and all over the place, I don't want my aimed in fire to be as slow as what this weapon is. Like, it hits hard, but it's incredibly slow. And then the hip fire, even, like I said, it felt slower than what I wanted. So I personally would much rather have the striker AR than the Stark rifle. I just think with how my AR fights play out this season with the jetpack, I'm much happier having the striker AR. But even if I wanted a more ranged option for longer range tags, I think I would go with the striker burst over the Stark. So the Stark is the most versatile option, but it's kind of not the best at anything, which is, I guess, how it should be. It's a somewhat balanced item, but I don't think this is going to be a game changer for a lot of players. If it was hit scan, I think a lot of people would like it for that reason, but I don't really see myself using this much. There was also arsenals added to the map, and the Stark rifle you can just get from regular looting. There was arsenals added to the map. These are like pods that will land on the map at different times throughout the course of the game. I have a map on screen now of where they can land. I don't know if there's set times where they land or if it's just random, but they make a lot of noise and you can actually see them on the map and you can see what type of arsenal it is on the map too. So there's the Iron Man arsenals and the War Machine arsenals. The War Machine arsenals drop all of the War Machine items. So the hover jets, the auto turret, and the the weapon. I think it's also called the arsenal. The War Machine ones drop the War Machine items. The Iron Man ones drop the gloves and the boots, like we were talking about earlier on in the video. So I think this is a nice thing to have on the map. It was pretty chaotic anytime I went for these. But if you are someone who's desperate for a jetpack, like you just haven't found one for whatever reason, or maybe you're coming off of a reboot, going to one of these, if you see like, okay, this one on the map is a War Machine one, it'll be like the bluish gray one, and then the Iron Man is like reddish orange, the indicator on the map. If you're desperate for a jetpack, I think this will be a decent way to get one, but you're probably going to have to fight for it. There's some give and take there, but I think it's a nice thing to have in the game. And like I said, anytime I went to these today, they were pretty chaotic. So if you're looking for fights, this can also be a way for you to get into some fights and maybe get some loot if that's what you need. Doom Island spawn chance was reduced back to 12% chance spawn rate. I believe it was at 30 yesterday, but now it's at 12. So if you hated dealing with Dr. Doom, you're probably going to be seeing him less than you have been the past few days. The Monarch pistol now uses medium ammo instead of light ammo. It's not a big change to me. And then the final change we're going to talk about is going to be the aim assist changes in this update. I'm sure if you're a controller player, you were looking forward to this part in the video. I will make a video in a few days about this topic when we have like more time to play around with it and like more information comes out about this. But in short, Fortnite posted and said this. They said, new Fortnite aim assist update. Human-like aim assist for controller players on all platforms. This mimics human reaction time to help controller players track moving targets like keyboard and mouse and mobile users, and it aims to create fair play for all skill levels. And so if you're looking at that and reading it, you're probably like, what does this even mean? Because I've honestly seen contracts that were easier to read and easier to understand than this post about what Fortnite did with aim assists. One of the main devs in charge of this did make a thread on Twitter. I'll link it in the comments down below where they went into it in more detail. But I still had zero clue what changed with this. To me, it felt basically the same. If Fortnite didn't tell us anything at all changed, I wouldn't have noticed. It felt fine. And I got on thinking that they nerfed it and I was probably not going to have a good experience playing the game. But it felt fine playing the game today. I didn't have to adjust to anything. I didn't have to change any settings. And this is just like a global change. This isn't a thing you turn on or off. This is just how the game is now. But like I said, I felt like I didn't have to adapt to this at all. It felt like how it felt before to me. Two changes that are noticeable, I think, is that fighting in or around bushes as a controller player feels a lot better after this update. And then the same is true of windows and buildings. So it's used to just like mess with aim assist hard. Apparently that's not the case anymore. I didn't experience that one because I didn't get in really any fights around windows. But the bush thing I definitely noticed. That would have been the only change I noticed if Fortnite didn't say anything. It also maybe felt to me like the Striker Burst AR had better hipfire aim assist than it did before. But just one day of playing, I feel like is a pretty small sample size, and knowing that they changed something, I feel like I'm somewhat susceptible to placebo. But like I said, to me, nothing really felt different. I was able to get on and play the game just fine, just as I was before. There was no adjustment to it I had to make. I'm interested to hear down in the comments below, if you're a console player and the aim assist in this update feels terrible to you, please let me know in the comments. I'm actually really interested to see that. Because if you guys were unaware, console used to have stronger aim assist than PC, and it still might. I'm not sure if it does or doesn't, but maybe that's one thing that changed in this update. If console aim assist feels the same as PC aim assist, then console players going to this, it'll probably feel much worse to them. And I've seen a lot of people online saying the update is terrible and it feels like they have no aim assist, but to me, it just felt like as it did before. So I'm really curious to see if like maybe the people complaining are console players, and if console got put to the same aim assist strength as PC, it would feel like a massive drop off. But I'm not totally sure on that. Like I said, that's just one theory I have. So if you are a console player, let me know. If you're just any controller player on any platform, let me know what you think of this change. Like I said, I probably will have a video in a few days when we know more, but to me, nothing really changed. But that is going to be it for this video and this update. Let me know what you guys think of the update, and then obviously if you're a controller player or console player, let me know what you think of the aim assist changes. If you guys did enjoy this, give it a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.